Hello there, my name's Peter and I'm the puppet designer for Half a String, and today we'll be making our very own Seedling puppet that you would have seen in the Breathe Online series. We are going to be using scissors today, making holes in bits of card and things like that, so adult supervision is recommended. And also, if you want to pause this video, rewind, go back, have a look at things, please do. And I fast forward through some things as well, as there is a little bit of repetition in the workshop. So, the puppets we're going to make today are going to look a little bit like this. This is a tabletop puppet, usually puppeteered by 2 to 3 people. And I'm going to show you, with help of my flatmate, at the end, how to puppeteer this kind of puppet. So, we are going to go to the workshop and I'm going to show you how to make your very own Seedling puppet. Let's do it. So the materials you're going to need are one cereal box, or a little bit of card from a cereal box, some pegs. These aren't going to be used up, but they will be used during, so you can give them back. 10 toilet rolls. If you don't have 10 lying around, you could just use more cardboard from the cereal box, so you can kind of swap that out. But the tubes are really useful. One egg box, some string, a skewer, could be any kind of stick, some leafy, branchy, finishy bits. Again, you could use card, different coloured card for this. This is just what I use, but I'll explain that a little bit later. Some masking tape. Masking tape is really good because you can paint on top of it. You could use sellotape, but masking tape is really good. A pencil, some scissors. Some paint, again for finishing, I just use some brown and some black, and some PVA glue. The PVA glue, you could use Pritt stick if you've got a glue gun. I'm going to mention a glue gun quite a lot. Great, use the glue gun. So we are going to start with the arms and the legs, and we're going to get toilet rolls like this, just normal toilet rolls, and we're going to make them a little bit smaller first of all. You don't have to do that actually. If you want really thick arms and legs, that would also work. But I find it works better if they're a little bit smaller and it looks a little bit more in proportion. So what we're going to do, we'll do the legs first. So it's around about that thick. There's no exact science here. Just make it a little bit smaller. So we're going to put it about that thick, I reckon. And what we're going to do is draw a little line there. Across there with a pencil. We've got a nice line. We're going to put glue all over here. So this could be Pritt stick. This could be PVA, which is what I'm going to use, just because PVA is usually a little bit stronger, although it does take longer to dry. But what we're going to do is we're going to slather that on like so. There you go, nice lot of glue on there. We know that line is, we know that we're not going to go over there. Try and get it right up to that line actually. What we're going to do is etch it up there. And what I've got here are just some ordinary pegs. Steal them off the washing line, obviously your washing line. And we are going to peg it like that. And peg it the other side, and there we go, and we've got like a nice little clamp system there, and we can now let that dry. So I'm going to do those with the rest of them. What we got to be careful is we want them reasonably the same width. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 like this, which will be the legs.
I always win 'cause I'm her older brother, but I told her it's 'cause I've got powers. I can speak with the heel and my feet become wheels. She can't see them because she's too slow.
So we're going to make the arms now. So these are the legs, this is the arms. We want to make these a bit smaller, so we're going to shuffle those even more along. However, what I'm going to do to make it a bit easier, I am going to cut and make these a little bit less wide, like this. Therefore, when there won't be so much of an overlap, but we'll still get that really nice size tube like so. And what also I'm going to do, just to make the arms a little bit smaller than the legs, I'm just going to take and cut some of the length off as well. There we go, because with the hands, when we make the hands, we don't want the arms to be too long. So there we go. So what we're going to do is going to glue those and peg them in exactly the same way.
Fishermen held out the ropes to their boats. Father took Rosie to
we have 2 arms, 2 legs. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to, as I did mine with PVA, I'm just going to let those dry. Okay, here we have them. Right, so we're ready to do the next stage. So we're going to start just with a leg at the moment. So we're just going to grab 2 of the leg bits. Which are more or less dry there. So we've got these 2 legs. So what we've got to think about as a puppeteer already is how we want this puppet to move. And you can imagine if this is the top half of the leg and this is the bottom half of the leg, we want them to move in a way that a leg does, like this. So a leg it locks at the knee, doesn't it? So it locks straight, and then we want it to go all the way back like that to act like a leg. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a bit of cardboard and we're going to cut a width out like that big. You could use the offcuts from your toilet rolls here. I'm just using white card because it's a bit easier to see and it will stand out from the toilet rolls for you. So what we're going to do, I'm going to fold that in half, make quite a nice sharp fold there. It's got a nice fold there. And what we're going to do is we are going to glue that. So the fold matches up with the ridge like so to one of our leg pieces. So let's do that. So I'm just going to put glue. Again, I'm using PVA glue. You could use Pritt Stick. You could use a glue gun. I'm using PVA as that's what I've got here. So I'm just get rid of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick that to our leg piece. So the fold is right at the top. Like so. Brilliant. So what I'm going to do as well, which will strengthen it and also hold it in place while the PVA dries, is I'm going to get some masking tape and masking tape that on. Masking tape is really good because you can just tear it and there's no need for cutting it or scissors or anything like that. You can again use sellotape if you so wish. Masking tape is also good because you can paint on it. But any kind of tape, to be honest, will work. So there we go, there we have it. Nice, so I'm going to leave that. There we go, so we've got a nice little hinge there which is taped on, ready to go. Lovely. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to put glue on this bit and we're going to glue it really tight, like so, to the other piece. So let's give that a go. Again, I'm going to put on some PVA. That off. Nice. And I'm going to put it down there. I'm going to get another bit of tape just to kind of strengthen these tubes as well so they don't start coming undone when I'm doing things. Lovely. And we're going to put that on there like so. So we don't want any kind of gap in between them ideally. Brilliant. There we go. There we have it. So now we should have that locking leg. So if you imagine that's the knee, it locks. Lovely. You don't have to use cardboard here. You could use fabric, which is a bit stronger and a bit looser, which is quite nice. Completely up to you. Also, rucksack webbing looks really well from an old rucksack. So I'm going to do that on the other leg and also on the arms in exactly the same way. So let's start pairing these up.
Left undone, a mark upon our skyline reminds us men can't conquer all. But she's calling to me.
So there you have it. We have 2 legs, 2 arms. Brilliant. So the next thing to do is we're going to make some feet with these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut just a toilet roll again. It's all toilet rolls in half. So we're going to cut it like this. Again, and then I'm going to cut that again in half. So I'm going to find about halfway. About halfway, be halfway across there. Great. I'm going to cut that across there, like so. And these are going to become our feet. So what we're going to do, we're just going to round these off a little bit. So I'm just going to take off these corners with the scissors. To make them look a little bit more rounded and more feet-like. I like to leave my hands and feet really big on my puppet, so I'm going to leave these more or less the same size as they are fresh from the toilet roll. You could give your puppet tiny feet. You could give your puppet massive feet if you find some massive rolls, maybe from a kitchen roll. This is what I've got, so I'm going to make them about this big. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach them like so. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is put a hole in where we want the ankle of these feet to be. So putting a hole in cardboard can be quite tricky, so if you need to get help to do that, or get a sharp pair of scissors, do. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just use this bit of cardboard as a cutting mat, almost. Some of the most common injuries in the workshop is with scissors or knives or something really simple and sharp. And then end up cutting yourself. So there we go, nice and safe. Got a hole in there. We haven't gone through to the table, which is good. And we've got a hole in our foot. So we're going to do that one with the other one as well. So I'm just going to put that in there. Brilliant, there we go. So we've got 2 holes. And then, next thing, we're going to get some string. Can be any string. I just had this stuff lying around. Could be a shoelace. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to chuck that bit away because I was a bit afraid. So what I'm going to do, before I even start cutting it actually, I'm going to tie a knot in here. Just a really simple reef knot. Which is almost kind of as you tie your shoelaces, or the start of it anyway. So we're going to do a nice little up and over there, pull it tight, and then we're just going to do that again, like so, and that will just give us a little bit of a knot there for stuff to lock against. And if you think it needs it, you might do with this string actually, it's a bit thin. I'm just going to do that a few other times and just make that knot really fat. Brilliant, there we go. Lovely. Nice knot there. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to cut that off the other end. I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to cut it off at about that. Big, there we go. And what we're going to do is we are going to thread that through there. So I'm going to push that through with my scissors. Again, being very careful. Like so. You see that knot means it's not going to come through because we've got that knot there, which is great, exactly what we needed. So what we're going to do now is attach this to the leg. So we need now to make a decision which way round the leg's going to go, and obviously a human leg bends like this, this being the front of the leg, and then it locks like that. So the bit of cardboard is actually on the back of the leg there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this bit of string to the back of the legs, the same as the cardboard. So, like so, and I'm just going to put a bit of tape all the way around there. So let's get a bit of tape again. I'm going to put a bit of tape all the way around there, just to keep that bit of string in place. What we can do, we can just pull it a little bit tighter, I think. Brilliant. There we go. And so we got one piece of string in place. So you might notice it's a bit wobbly at the moment, so we're going to have to add another piece of string in just to make sure it doesn't move around too much. So we're going to need to put another hole round about there. So I'm going to put another hole in our foot, exactly the same way as we did before. And we are going to add a string in exactly the same way. So we'll cut a bit of string off.
Winter leaves have blown, whispers of my home, silent.
And again, we are going to tape that to the bit of toilet roll. So let's get out a bit of tape.
mountain shouts my fate, my daily futile life.
And we're going to tape that again. Go all the way around, makes it a bit stronger if it's attached to itself. And what we can do with these loose ends, we can tie those together like so. Again, almost like a shoelace, but just double reef knot. Lovely. And I'm just going to chop off those ends, make it nice and neat. Like so. And there we have it. We have an ankle for a puppet. So it gives it a little bit of movement. It's going to go a little bit this way, that way, but it's not going to completely go everywhere. So I'm going to do exactly the same on the next leg.
Oh, the morning calls my name, the mountain shouts my fate, my daily futile life awaits.
So we have our two legs done, which are looking lovely. I'm just going to make that a little bit more foot-shaped. Brilliant. That's our legs done. So we're going to put those again to one side. And now we're going to make the hands. So first of all, we're going to make some hand shapes. So again, let's get a toilet roll. There's a lot of toilet rolls in this. And we're just going to cut it out like that. And once we've got it like that, we can then cut it in half. Like so. Brilliant. And I'm just going to straighten that out there. So what I'm going to do now is draw a hand shape. You could trace your hand if you wanted, again, your puppet to have massive hands. You could trace your hand, make it a bit easier. I'm just going to do a nice, simple mitten shape for this puppet. So I'm just going to do your fingers there like a mitten, and then I'm going to do that thumb you get on a mitten. There you go, all a bit big. There we go. Nice and easy there. Nice simple shape. So what I'm going to do now is cut this out. So what we've got here is a nice mitten shape, and you'll notice that the hand has a natural curve to it because of the toilet roll. So we want to use that natural curve. So we want this, the underside, to be the underside of the hand. So what you've noticed, I've already made a decision on what hand this will be. This will be my puppet's right hand. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put right on the palm there, just so I remember that that's the right hand. That's going to be the puppet's right hand. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this over and trace it for the other hand, and then you don't have to draw it twice, and you'll know they'll be exactly the same, which is a good way of doing it. But remember, if I traced it like that, again, I would have a right hand, so I'm going to have to turn it over like so, to make sure I then get the opposite of what I've done. So I'm going to trace that like so. There we go. So there we have a right hand and a left hand. So what we're going to do is we are going to put a bit of cardboard here to make that wrist joint. So they're going to work really simply in exactly the same way. Again, you could do these with fabric, which would be stronger than the cardboard, but I'm going to do it with card because that's what I've got. You could cut up an old t-shirt, or ideally an old pair of jeans, or just, you know, sneakily cut off the bottom of your parents' jeans. Don't do that, obviously. Don't do that. Don't blame it on me if you do it. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to put that there. Put that glue on there, and we're going to glue it in exactly the same way as the elbow joint there. So I'm going to glue it like that. What I'm going to do, because I'm using PVA, I'm going to get the tape and tape them on again. It makes them a bit stronger, and it means I don't have to wait for them to completely dry before I do anything else with them. go. And we're going to put that on the right hand there. What I'm going to do is, because there's nothing to wrap the tape around, I'm going to put a peg on there and leave that to dry where it is. Looking lovely. So we've got a wrist. Lovely. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the left arm. So there we have it. We have two arms that work. So I'm going to leave the pegs on there to let them dry and let that glue dry. But we have an arm which locks in the elbow and gives the wrist as well a little bit of flexibility. Again, fabric, you'll get it even more flexible. Okay, so the next thing we're going to move on to is the head. So what I've got here is just an old cereal packet box. What we're going to do is we're going to draw the shape of the head that we want on this. I'm going to try and go for a acorn-shaped head, similar to the Seedling puppet in the series that you saw. So, one really handy way to easily draw a head and get it symmetrical is to draw some lines on there first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this ruler. I'm going to draw maybe 120. Put the 6 centimetre mark on there. 120 millimetres, sorry, that's 12 centimetres. We'll work in centimetres, so that's 12 centimetres, 6 centimetres in the middle. And then I'm going to draw down the other way as well. What we're going to do is we're going to have it a bit shorter at the top, so we're going to have it about 14 centimetres there, and I'm just going to draw a line across there. Brilliant. So now we have this kind of general kite shape, and then we can make that into that acorn shape that you see him. So this can be quite rough, because when we decorate it we can change it a little bit and add leaves and twigs, so it's not going to be exactly the shape, but it's good to start with something that's a little bit symmetrical. Obviously you don't have to, that's whatever you want to do really, as it is your puppet, not mine. I'm just giving you some pointers. Okay, so there we go, that's a nice kind of acorn shape. So what we're going to do now is we are going to cut this out.
We'll find her near in a cave where she sleeps day.
There we go. Lovely. See a nice. So this is going to be the back, as obviously it's got all the serial information on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just slightly kind of just bend that around my hand, just so it's got a bit of a bend to it, almost like the toilet rolls did, just so it's not completely 2D, and we can make it a bit more 3D. There we go. Right, so what's next with the head is we're going to attach it to a stick. So I've got a like a skewer, a barbecue skewer. What I'm going to do first is attach it onto the back of here. So I'm going to do that with tape. Again, this is what glue guns win at. So you could, if you had a glue gun, you could glue gun that on. But tape should do just fine, really. Just because there's not a huge amount of weight on it, so it should be fine. You could also glue it as well if you're feeling fancy. A bit of double tape and glue usually works. But I'm just going to add the bit of tape there. There we go. That'll be a bit of tape. So we've got a little head stick, so that's at the bottom at the moment, similar way to the one I made. So at the moment it's a bit long, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it off more or less about the same distance to the head. We'll see why that needs to be the case a little bit later when we start looking at the body. So I'm just going to run the scissors around there, make a little groove, you can see that, a little groove all the way around, and then you should just be able to snap it off. There we go. So we've got the starters of a head. So I'm going to just leave that where it is for now, and we're going to start looking at the body. The body, here we are, we have a egg box. So what we're going to do, we don't need this bit, we just need this bit. So what we're going to do is just cut the lid off. And then we have the lid of the egg box here. First thing we're going to do is make a little hole up here. This is what the head stick will go through. So you can be quite careful with this. Again, if you're making a hole through a thing, I'm going to put it on my piece of cardboard like that. And then I'm just going to start the scissors through like so. Nice. And through, and then we can thread that through there. And the head is on the body, and then we can look left to right. We've actually got a lovely little bit of movement there as well. The reason why we cut it down, if it was too long, it would go all the way through, so that is kind of perfect, really. At the moment it goes up and down, which aren't usually what heads do, so we are now going to just try and limit that movement, and we're going to do that with a bit of tape. So we're going to pull off a nice long bit of tape, and we are going to roll it around this stick. So first of all, take the stick off, and we are going to do it right at the base next to the chin there, and we're just going to roll it around like so. And we're basically just making that stick a bit thicker where the tape is, so it won't slide through. So we're going to just roll it all the way around, just keep going. Going to keep going. We don't want it to pull through like so. So there we go, nice and thick. We can even just kind of squish that down a little bit. So now it should lock against there. So let's see if that works. You can see that it's not going to go further in there. So now we just need to do that on the other side. So again, nice long bit of tape. And what we're going to do is stick that on there. And this is a bit more fiddly, this one, as it's on the inside. I wonder if you can see it if I do it. There you go. Basically just doing the same though, to be honest. There we go. I'm just going to be rolling that. Maybe I'll turn the head. There we go. There we go. That's the right angle. We're rolling that. Again, just to stop it pulling through. There we go. Perfect. And now we have a little head stick and a body. Look left and right, like that. Nice and easy. A little bit of movement there. We've got the head. So we're going to now attach everything that we've made together. So we're going to start with the legs. Bring the legs in. Oh, it's starting to come together. This is always the really exciting bit in projects for me. So the first thing we're going to do is attach the thighs to the legs. The legs are completely symmetrical, so we don't have to worry about which way round each one is. So I have a strip of cardboard here. I'm going to chop that off right there. Going to need 2 of those for now. Going to grab the glue back in, and we're going to glue up these. So first of all, make that little nice sharp fold. Do it on the other one as well. And we are going to just put glue on one side, like so. We're going to glue these to the legs first. So we're going to start with his left leg first. This is the left, yes. So we're going to do it on the front. So the front is the opposite side to the back of the knee. So we're going to stick it there, nice. And what I'm going to do again is going to put tape on it, just so I can don't have to wait for the glue to completely dry, and I can start moving it around and testing it. Again, Pritt stick, glue gun. You could just use tape actually. Glue makes it a bit stronger, but tape would work. And I'm going to do that on the other one as well.
In my pajamas, I pull back the curtains, then rush down the stairs to outside.
Again, you could use fabric for this. I keep saying that every time we do this, mainly because fabric is just a lot stronger than card. You could use fabric. You don't have to though. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just put a bit of glue on the top of here, like so. Lovely. And we're going to stick that in there.
There's songs at the shore, hauling their boots and their...
Like so. What I am going to do, I'm going to put a bit of tape across that, again, just to make it a bit stronger than it would be with just the glue. Also might mean I can... So, not as much Nice, there we go. So the legs are on, and we see that they bend really nicely. They do a nice lot of locking. They can also sit, which is really nice. So the puppet mechanically is getting there, which is always very exciting. Woo! Can even do a little dance there. So we're going to attach the shoulder joints now. So I'm going to again get my bit of card, nice like this. I'm going to fold it again, like so. So it's nicely folded. And what we're going to do in that, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So we've got this line of cardboard running over here. We want the shoulder, if we turn this about 90 degrees, like that, we want that would be 90 degrees to this one. We want kind of in between that. So we are going to put it about there, I reckon. And that will give the arm a nice angle to go up on. So when we stick it on, it will stick like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue that on exactly the same as before. Bit of PVA, like so. Okay, again, so that would be 90. That would be 0, as it's on the same. That would be 90. We're looking at about 45, I reckon. So again, I'm just going to tape around that just to get it nice and strong. So I have to wait for the glue to dry. So what I'm going to do, again, exactly the same. I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to glue that on like so. Lovely. And again, I'm going to take this. You know, get tired of me saying that. I'm going to take this as well. Again, just to make it a bit stronger, and so I don't have to wait for it to dry. So I'm going to go all the way around that. Turn it round. Go all the way around. These shoulder joints are probably going to be the most under pressure when you're puppeteering your puppet. But what you can see here is that if I grab the wrist, you can puppeteer from here, move it around like so. Get a nice lot of movement. What I'm going to do, I am just going to peg that in place and just give it a bit of time to dry. And I'm going to do the other one, and while we wait for that one to dry, I am going to use fabric on the other one. This is a bit of canvas I had lying around. We have the base of our puppet. So we've got these lovely legs that lock, brilliant. We've got these lovely arms, which have a lot of flexibility, but also lock at the elbow. And we've got this head with the head stick hidden. So we are going to decorate this and make it look more like our tree puppet. So you could do this in any number of ways. You could paint it. You could stick leaves on it. You could cut leaves out of the card. If you've got card around, stick it on. Just kind of let yourself loose, I would say. Just be aware, you make sure you don't impede the joints when they're working. But otherwise, you can kind of do what you want. So I am going to go out, collect loads of leaves, get some twigs, and I'm going to get sticking those on there. I'm going to put that through on a time lapse, and I'll stop it at some key moments. But don't feel like you have to do everything exactly the same. So to do this lovely layered leaf effect on the leg, I'm going to use tape for this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to tape a load of leaves to this bit of tape that I've got on the floor here. Again, you could use glue for this. And I'm going to just repeat that all the way down. Goodness gracious, these are some very leafy legs indeed. But they work really well. I can't, a bit ridiculous. I kind of like them though. What I might do actually, I'm going to get some brown paint. I'm just going to paint all of the tape that you can see brown.
Creaks in the shadows, we've counted the dead at her feet. Cursed are the fools who pursue her.
Let's have a look at these arms next. Because the legs are so leafy, I might hold back on the leaves and the arms. Just paint these brown for now, and then add a bit of bark to them later.
She holds, and the warnings of the wise say some things best left undone.
It's important though to let the paint dry before you start sticking stuff on, because the glue will mix with the paint and it'll all just be a sticky, non-gluey or painty mess. Next thing I'm going to do, we're going to spend a bit of time on the head, but I'm just going to do a base layer of brown on the head. Okay, so I have a painting top tip for you here. So a really easy way of getting things like this to look a little bit more textured and a little bit more 3D is to just put a different shade on with a technique called dry brushing. So it's actually really easy to do, and you can make it do a lot of things. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get a bit of cardboard. Just got a bit of brown on the brush. I'm going to got some black here. I'm just going to mix that a little bit just so I get a darker brown. It's going to be quite dark, but I think that's good. So quite nice dark brown. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take most of it off, just so there's a little bit. That's why it's called dry brushing. So there's very, hardly anything on your brush. What I can then do, if I just go over the same bits in brown, it kind of makes it look a little bit more 3D and a little bit more lifelike. It's a really easy way.
I've all that I could wish for, and still I ache for more. Night-filled mountain, I'll find what I'm searching.
I'm just going to add a bit of bark, I think, to the arms, just to make them look a little bit more tree. I'm going to do this with the PVA.
Come, let's scratch some letters into this bench. I need to press some relief for the fire in my head.
For the body, what I found this really nice big pieces of bark here. So I thought it'd be really nice to get those on the body somehow. What I could do, if I smothered the back with PVA, left them on there, maybe taped them, it might even take overnight. I think they would stick on. Just because we can carry it on, I'm going to glue gun these on, and I can show you the glue gun. So glue guns are great for this kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do, glue guns obviously are very hot. That's the way they work. They do a hot glue. So I can just put some hot glue along there. I could just stick this on.
I gathered my daisies and lined them up neat on the ledge. They'll die by the morning, the wind will have blown.
So I want, for my head, I want it to give the eyes these kind of like leaf shapes to kind of sit in. So a little bit like this, almost like a leafy mask.
Time it skips and gathers trips and heaps up at the end. Death has pressed my meaningless to mind. So let's take this moment and do.
So we've got some leafy eyes there, and then I'm gonna put pupils in there. And I could paint them on, but I think it might be better if I'm gonna use this black bit of card, and I'm gonna just cut some circles out of this. Okay, what's next? Also with with the puppet, the nose is very important because the nose makes it, especially in a puppet like this, it will make it really 3D. So even from the side, you'll be able to see where the puppet is looking if it had a nose. I wonder if I could attach this leaf.
Winter leaves have blown, whispers of my home. Silent calls the warmth that I have known.
Here that I found outside, and I'm going to tape them to the back of this dude's head, and we can make a lovely little crown for our puppet.
I am reaching for life. I am searching for sight.
So we have made our puppet, and I have Envy here, who is my flatmate and the only person on earth who is allowed to help me puppeteer this puppet. So the first thing to remember of this kind of puppet is that this puppet needs to be focused and it needs to look at things. So the head needs to look at things, so we can look at everything over there. Look at the camera there. Ooh, hello. Nice. So you need to keep that head nice and focused. So Envy, I'm going to ask you to grab the head stick there. There you go, just in there. Lovely. This is the first time Envy's done it. And then the head puppeteer usually has a hand as well. So I'm going to ask Envy to grab a hand there. Next puppeteer, or your second puppeteer, can grab the feet. And this puppeteer needs to give this puppet weight. So without this puppeteer, the puppet has no weight and it kind of slides around. So we're just going to take this puppet on a walk. We're going to go over here and we're just going to sit down on these books. We have not pre-rehearsed this, so we'll see how this goes. So we're going to lead with the heads. The head's going to go first. We're going to look. Just going to walk over, have a little sit down on this. Looks lovely. There we go. Now it's sat down. And we're going to do a little dance with our puppet using those things of weight and focus. Again, this is completely improvised by me and Lindsay. So, we would love to see your puppets dancing, so please share them with First Art, share them with our social media. Let's get to see these puppets dancing around. So thank you so much for getting involved and making your puppets, and I look forward to seeing what you guys can make online. See you later.